Folks, it's official. Juan Soto to the Mets, $765 million for 15 years. We're going to break it down and all the other free agent signings on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, I'm Matthew Anay, and you can find Anay. If you're watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It will subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly, truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And folks, most important thing, to Matt and I and to you guys this time of year, join us on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's an in-depth, personalized experience. Through text messaging alerts, you're going to get right to your phone, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute episode. And guys, this time of year, we are releasing our 2025 rankings, sleepers, breakouts, bust, answering dynasty and keeper questions. So make sure you check out our Subtext. The link is in the bio wherever you're listening or watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Matt, you see I got the Yankee gear on. I'm a little frustrated, as a Yankee fan. Like I said, at the top, Juan Soto to the Mets, it's official. Big. Yeah. I love it. Perfect. Yeah. That's exactly how I feel on the inside. So, and the thing in this deal is that, guys, if you don't know this yet, Juan Soto actually can opt out after the 5th year of this contract. And if the Mets want to keep him for, the rest of that contract, which would be 10 more years, they're going to have to up his salary $4 million a year, which could bring this contract up to $805 million for the 26-year-old Juan Soto. And you know what, Matt, you're a big Juan Soto guy. I know you have him in a lot of our keeper dynasty leagues, so you've been following him since he's 19 years old and he got called up with the Washington Nationals. Why don't you take the wheel here, brother?
Juan Soto's really good. Juan Soto landing anywhere, like I said yesterday, because when this episode dropped, we always record a day before. So, if you're ever wondering why we're behind on the news, it's more because, hey, it's the night before. But, like I was saying yesterday, wherever he lands, it isn't going to affect his fantasy value. I don't care. I'm going to pick him no matter what, that high. It just, regardless, Juan Soto for fantasy is going to be great. There is teams that it probably would have capped, but, you got Francisco Lindor, you got, Acuña's little brother, you got Vientos, you got a couple names there that could do it, and I'm forgetting some. Where it's going to be just like anywhere else. To be honest, that team's got, I would say, without an Aaron Judge, pretty much the same amount of weapons that they have on the Yankees as they did there. It's going to be very similar production, quite honestly. It's a little bit bigger of a park, but honestly, it's Juan Soto. He can hit anywhere. He hit in San Diego for years. There's no reason he can't hit in Citizen Bank. No, not Citizen Bank. That's Philly. Citi Field.
I blanked for a second there too.
Yeah. Sorry, I get them always mixed up. Same division and everything. But
I just hate the Mets right now, so that's my excuse.
Yeah, the Mets are gonna Met. I'm sorry, it's Juan Soto. That's the only thing. Sorry, Met fans. But ultimately, hey, it's a great signing. Congratulations, Met fans. You have a really good player. 15 years, $765 million, which is absolutely bonkers. And then Dom clued me in on the little insight of what's going on with the contract too. And after 5, he could either opt out, or they could void the opt-out by adding another $4 million a year, which brings it to a total of $8 million. Wow.
$805 million.
$800 million, yes. That's what I meant to say. So, essentially, he's a really smart man. So is Boris. Well done. I think the most smartest deal I've ever seen. So, well done.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add here. I guess I could play a little bit of devil's advocate, which, I'm not changing Soto in my outfield rankings. I still have him at 3. I think he's a solid top 5, 6, 7 pick. And the only thing is there are question marks in that Mets line. And we have Lindor, obviously. And then it's a lot of, guys, Vientos and Mauricio comes back and Acuna, as Matt mentioned. They're all young. We got to see what they can bring to the table. I know. I know. I know Vientos struggled a little bit in the second half, especially with his strikeout rate. So I want to see that. And then you got guys like, Nimmo and Marte and McNeil all getting older. And then Brett Beatty, I forgot to mention him as well. He's another young guy. So this Mets lineup, I think Soto can go in there and kind of be, another veteran presence in that lineup, bring a new sense of life. But, like Matt said, bigger park too. So maybe the 40 home runs takes a little step back. Maybe it's like 38, 36 in that range. And I think, as Matt, you said too, the Yankees lineup thinks a little bit better. So, the runs, RBIs, maybe we take a little bit step back. But in points leagues, he's still the same guy. The walk to strikeout ratio is amazing. He's a career 285 guy. He's taking a step back in the right direction. He had 288 last year, Juan Soto did. And, all the underlying stuff just looks great. He's one of the best players in baseball. Not much else to say here. And then, I will say congratulations to the Mets. But it is what it is for us Yankee fans. We'll make do. Let's go get Teoscar Hernandez and Corbin Burns, and I'll be happy. All right, but let's keep pushing here. Let's talk about Willie Adamas. He heads over to the San Francisco Giants on the 7th.
That's my opinion.
Matt's out here killing it with the drops today. I love it. I'm all here for it. So once again, Willie Adamas, folks, heads to the Giants on a 7-year deal, $182 million. Willie Adamas had a career year last year. And Matt, I think we did our way too early bust episode, and I think Willie Adamas was on that episode. And honestly, I feel like this makes it even solidifies that even more. The Giants lineup isn't as good as the Brewers. Willie Adamas, on a career year, the underlying stuff didn't support a lot of the things he did. He goes to a bigger park, career high 32 home runs. He did play 161 games last year. That was also a career high. I don't think he does that again. I'd expect a similar season to maybe like the 2019 season for Adamas, where it's 152 games, 69 runs, 20 homers, 25 doubles, 52 RBIs, 4 steals, 254 batting average, maybe somewhere around that, maybe a little bit better in the counting stats, maybe a few more steals. But he's a career 248 hitter. I'm not banking on the great counting stats like he had last year. The team's worse. I think Willie Adamas is going to be one of those landmines, right? I think you're just going to have to just pass on him, give him to somebody else. And I'm kind of trying to pull up where early ADP is on Adamas. He's coming off the board as the 11th shortstop, but get this, pick 57. That's crazy, guys. That's wild to me. I think you could wait 50 picks and get Nico Horner. Like I know Nico Horner's not a stud, but we know what Nico, great batting average, a lot of steals, good runs on a good team. He leads off over there. Zach Neto goes after that with, he's another guy that, there's a great bet that he is going to get him in 2020 last year. There's just so many spots I'd rather take than betting on a guy going to a new team on a career year in a worse park, worse team. The writing's on the wall. I mean, that is what it is.
Also, too, new team, new year rule comes into effect. So Willie Adamas is a flat out bust for me, at least. I've never been an Adamas guy. I see the appeal, but I mean, look, he's been trending better since he turned 26. But I mean, ultimately, you're talking about a way bigger park. You're talking about just a lot of downgrades overall. He went there for the money, not to go win a championship. Ultimately, it is what it is. For fantasy-wise, I'm out. He'll be getting passed up on everywhere, even though it probably wouldn't have mattered where he landed unless he went to the Dodgers or even the Spanks, because then he probably would have been a little bit more relevant because there would have been more guys to drive him home. But it's the Giants. Rangers would have been a great landing spot too, but
I'll give you the Yankees, though, because you know what? The park is better. It's a small porch. He has power. It's not like he's lacking a crazy amount of power, but it's not 30 home run power in San Francisco, man. Like I said, if he would have went to a great team, it would have been all in great park. Well, even if he goes to Colorado, oh yeah, sure. You know what? We could take Willie Adamas. It plays up there, but we can't do it when he goes to the Giants.
I mean, that, and also too, it's not like the average exit velocity is even on an elite level. It's 88.6 miles an hour. He has a great launch angle, which plays well in in Milwaukee, but it ain't gonna play well in in San Fran, especially not with those walls back there. I'm sorry, it just ain't gonna play. So like he's going to take a dip everywhere. Like the 32 home runs, forget about it. It's probably gonna be more like 24. Stolen bases will probably be. This was a career high for a little bit at least, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, it was by a lot too. I think it was by a lot.
Yeah, by a significant amount, and that's if they even let him
fast.
run.
He's not fast. He's average. He's literally 50th percentile sprint speed, which just measures how fast guys are, and he's 50% is right down the middle, average MLB speed.
Like, yeah, I mean, like, granted, he's just gonna for points leagues, it'll be different. For 5x5, I'm not trying to do it for categories leagues unless you're playing with doubles and triples. That's where I think he'll come into play because all those they all should have been home runs, but it ain't gonna play well for him. But guys, coming up next, we're gonna cover Tyler O'Neill and why I think that's probably the best landing spot out of all the signings this week. But that's all coming up next. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place a live bet on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, views, live play-by-plays, and so much more from the same place you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And guys, do not forget to bet against the Giants. It's the best thing on the planet. So, yeah. And even Malik Neighbors is tired of it. So, peace out and bet against them. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And introducing the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, Diamond Club on Subtext, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. As the offseason unfolds, get our rankings, our tier-based rankings from, redrafts, sleepers, prospects, sleepers, breakout, busts, all that wonderful stuff that you can't get on this 30-minute podcast. You're only going to get a little bit of a short little insight on what we got going on in the back. If you want to win your leagues, you're going to want to get your hands on our rankings. So that's the only way to do that is over at Subtext. Links in the description below. But let's get back in the show and let's start talking about Tyler O'Neill gets signed by the Baltimore Orioles. And quite honestly, this is the best landing spot I think humanly possible. The only thing that's going to be necessary for Tyler O'Neill is for him to stay healthy. The dude has never really been a picture of health. Even this year, he only played about 113 games. The year before, 72, then 96, and then 138. Never actually played a full season ever. But what he does in those short periods of time is absolutely incredible. This year alone, he only had 411 at-bats. He had 74 runs, 18 doubles, 31 bombs, 61 ribs, and batted a measly 241. But he has had seasons where he's had better batting average. Honestly, as long as he hits from 240 to 251, he's pretty much Anthony Santander. And then with way more upside in terms of power. But also, too, Tyler O'Neill, I think, is a little bit better of a hitter in terms of that, where I think he'll be able to drive in and get way more runs and ribs. Personally, Tyler O'Neill, I think, is a great landing spot. I've always liked the kid. He just can never stay healthy. So it's not like I'm giving him a massive bump, but I am giving him a bump in that where he's probably going to be an OF4 for me moving forward.
You didn't re-rank him, Matt?
Not yet. I haven't had the opportunity yet. I don't even know where I have him actually currently because he's not somebody that I highlighted until, to be honest, or cared until he gets on there.
I think I moved him up too high. I moved him up to 30. I have to deep dive everyone. Right now, he's coming off the board as outfielder 46, pick 170. I love that. It's great value on Tyler O'Neill. I like him as a low end outfielder 3. So I do have to move things around. He's one of those guys that where the power is going to play anywhere. It doesn't matter that Baltimore has a little bit bigger of a park. He's just one of those guys when he hits the home runs, they go really far. He's 5'11", 200 pounds. And if you've ever seen the frame on Tyler O'Neill, he's built like a Giancarlo Stanton. And I think that's part of the reason why, guys like that have problems staying healthy. They're just too big for their own good. They swing the bat so hard.
42.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So there we go. I like I said, I think I got to move him down. I got to really deep dive this, and there's a lot of guys in that range that you could really pick nits about if you wanted to. But you know what? Like I said, Matt, great job with the landing spot. Right now, Roster Resource has him slotted in the 4 hole for that Baltimore team behind Gunnar Henderson, Adley Rutschman, and Ryan O'Hearn. I think that will probably wind up changing. I don't think Ryan O'Hearn's going to bat third. Tyler O'Neill might wind up even batting third, or maybe they'll move Mountcastle, or they'll move guys around. But he's going to be hitting in front of great bats. He's going to have a lot of RBIs, a lot of home runs. And if you can get him as your utility outfielder number 4, like Matt said, I'm buying all day on Tyler O'Neill. Love him. But let's keep things pushing here. Let's move on. Oh yeah, let's do another former Yankee. Let's do it. Let's talk some Luis Severino. I low-key like the landing spot. He goes over to Oakland. Actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think he got one of, franchise record. So yes, he did set the record for Oakland Athletics signings. It's a 3-year, $67 million contract. And that just says a lot about Oakland, that's the biggest contract in their franchise history. I have Severino pretty low. I got to move him around a little bit too, because of the landing spot, which I do like. Honestly, I don't even know where I have him slotted in here. But if I had to guess, he's probably somewhere. Oh, I have him at 64. There you go. I found it. He's at SP 64 right now. I like that. Get him as your SP 6. I think you're going to be winning on that. And he had a good year last year. I know there was ups and downs. He's never going to be, Yankees Luis Severino, where he's striking everybody out. But I think he can just be solid. I think he can be, decent. He had a 3.91 ERA last year with the Mets. Luis Severino did 31 innings pitched, 31 starts, 182 innings pitched, 161 strikeouts, and a 1.24 WHIP. He'll be around that. Maybe a smidge better. Maybe the ERA will be a little bit better because it's a better park to pitch in. So maybe you're talking about like a 3.75 ERA. Hopefully he can give you a good amount of innings again. Definitely be under that K per 9. I don't think he's going to be that big strikeout guy. He'll give you a decent whip. Probably 1.20 whip somewhere around there. Just the wins is going to be your point. Players be careful because the winds are not going to be good there in Oakland. So I like Sevy. Like I said, probably around SP 6-7. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't ranked 67. I'm not mad at it.
Right.
It's hard to trust him. He had a good year last year. I can't even, deny that whatsoever, truthfully. I mean, definitely improved off the last 2 seasons of him being absolute garbage, but wasn't consistent. So I'm not super thrilled about him, but hey, if I'm getting him as my SP 7, I'm okay. But we're going to move on. We're going to talk about, I think, another great signing that I think was low-key probably the sneakiest and best signing in all of the offseason, and that's Jordan Romano going to the Philadelphia Phillies now. One of my favorite closers going in forever now. Yes, if you owned him, you were disappointed. He was coming off TJ, didn't really make it back in time, and then things just kind of spiraled and didn't go right. But ultimately, if you look at the guy's career, you can't really get mad at it. It kind of speaks for itself, right? He hasn't had a season above 3 ERA since 2019, where he literally had 15 innings pitched, and then again, 13 innings pitched this year, and he had a 6.59. So everything else was sub 3 ERA, and one season under 2 seasons at 2.14 and 2.11, and then 2023 was another phenomenal year where he had a 2.9 ERA. The dude is a save machine because he's always getting saves, 36 saves back-to-back seasons between 22 and 23. On top of that is a nice K per 9. 2023 was last full season, 59 innings pitched and 72 strikeouts. Year before that in 22, 64 innings pitched and 73 strikeouts. WHIP has been a little high over the last 2 years, but that is what it is. But he's had a pretty decent WHIP before the last 2 years. And also, too, last year doesn't really count. So it's really just last year. Jordan Romano, I think, is going to be absolutely successful. All the save opportunities under the sun with the Phillies, and they desperately need it. Romano is honestly probably going to be a top 4 closer for me. I think I'm saying it now. The landing spot opportunity and the profile of just, the K per 9, the save opportunities, and the ability to not only clinch wins, because that's also going to come in a factor because they do bullpen games. I think Jordan Romano is going to be sneaky good this year. And not even sneaky. He's going to be full-fledged front corner, possible RP1 upside.
I thought I was going to be high on him. I slotted him in at 12, and I thought, I think that was a little risky, but yeah, he's good. I want to see how he's recovering, because sometimes when you see any pitchers come back from injury like that, one of the things that you see them struggle with is whip, and Romano did even struggle with that in 2023 when he was an all-star with the 1.22 whip. He's going to be 32. Guys struggle a little bit with recovery, so I'm just holding a little bit of precaution. I would like him better in a 12-man league. If you take him as your closer, you waited, that's okay. But anything shallower than that, I think he winds up becoming like an RP2. But I really like him. I think he's going to be solid. Like you said, man, I love the landing spot, and I think he will be sneaky good with the Phillies.
Yep. And coming up next, you're going to find out who else we value and where we actually like or dislike. And I think we're going to have a disagreement on this next guy coming up next. So, Dom, I teased it, but since you're the bigger guy on him, Clay Holmes, how you feeling about the landing spot?
Well, let's break it down, because I think the craziest part about this is that the Mets are bringing him in as a starter, and I just don't get it. It's 3 years, $38 million for Clay Holmes to go to the Mets. It just I can't wrap my head around it. I was talking to some other people I know about this, and honestly, Mets fans too. We kind of all just agreed he was a failed starter. That's why he was moved to the bullpen. Back when he was with the Pirates. He had 4 starts in the bigs. He started games in the minors, and he wasn't really successful at it. They switched him over to the bullpen. Found a little bit of success with Pittsburgh. Really was great with the Yankees. I can't see. I won't draft him. I'll be honest with you. I won't draft him this year. I'll rank him at starting pitching. I'll have him there somewhere. Maybe he's a lottery ticket if we can get him late enough. But I think Mets fans and I think just how good he's been over the last few years is going to drive his price up a little bit more than it should. I don't think he's anything more than a lottery ticket now.
I'm right there with you, actually. I didn't think we were going to be on the same page. I know you've always kind of been a Clay Holmes kind of guy.
If he went to a team where he was going to close, or even if he came back to the Yankees and they were like, "Hey, listen, he's going to close," I'd have him. He'd probably be right near Romano. Him and Romano would be very, very close to each other in my rankings if he came back as a closer. But as a starter, I can't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me. Somebody please explain it. One of you smart Mets fans out there can break this down for me. Why we're turning him into a starter? Just don't get it.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's absolutely undraftable. But yeah, we're going to move on. Jonathan India lands up on the Kansas City Royals. I actually like the signing. Don't like it for fantasy. Don't really care. India had his little stints where he was really, really, good for fantasy, but then other times was just, kind of mediocre. You look at what his season numbers are, and it's like, okay, cool. 533 at bats. 84 runs, 28 doubles, 2 triples, 15 bombs, 58 ribs, 13 stolen bases, batted .248. Very meh. Very meh. But the beauty of it is he's going to a team that I think needs that kind of bat, needs a guy that could kind of contribute and get on base. And I think he could take a step forward in that aspect and also be driven in a little bit more. But he's not going to be a true fantasy contributor. Every hope we had after him winning, the rookie of the year, I think, is out the window. I don't think that there's any upside for him in those kind of regards to be elite. So with Jonathan India, we take it like this. I really like the fact that he's gone. It opens up a lot of avenues for the Reds and their prospects and young players. But it's kind of like irrelevancy for fantasy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I want to be on the same page with you, but I feel like India is just one of those guys like, I'll figure it out. And, he is getting older. I like the landing spot. That's the thing. I'll break it down. He did go over there in the trade, with the Royals. Brady Singer went the other way for him. So I honestly think it's a good deal for a team like, the Royals, where they didn't have a lot of consistent play at second base. Michael Garcia was, meh. But actually, so this is what I wanted to see. I pulled up roster resource, and he's projected to hit leadoff. If he hits leadoff on this team behind Bobby Witt, behind Vinny P, behind Salvador Perez, It could look good, but then I pulled up this too, right? So I'm going to give you guys like a thorough breakdown here. So Jonathan India's home and away splits, because we know he used to play in Cincinnati, Great American Small Park, right? He's played 261 games at home in his career and 262 away. So we can actually get a really, really good breakdown here. That's 34 home runs at home, 29 away. Not as big of a difference as you would think. He's hit. Here's the big difference: 266 batting average at home, 241 batting average away. So that's the scary part. If India can't figure it out and hit 250, 260, his profile isn't good enough, right? That's the whole thing. He's not really good at any one thing. He's got a little bit of power, a little bit of speed. So unless he can get that batting average, up to where it was in his rookie year, which I'm not sure he can do, it's going to be a lot of runs, a mediocre batting average, 15 home runs, 15 steals. I think he's more of like a league where you got the middle infielder type of thing, deep league, stuff like that. 12-man league, maybe you take a shot on him as a utility just because I like the landing spot and he might hit leadoff. But that's where I land in India. Like it's not really going to be a sexy thing for him over there. But let's keep things pushing. Let's talk about somebody who I think is going to be interesting. Let's talk some Matthew Boyd, right? Matthew Boyd finally has the year we've been waiting for since like 2015, 2016 when he first came up, right? It was a strong return, came off of the big injury. Only had 8 starts, but it was a 2.72 ERA, 39 innings, 46 strikeouts with a 113 whip. The FIP, fielding independent pitching, which is an ERA indicator, was at a 3.29. So I don't know if Boyd can do it in a long stretch, but he did go to the Cubs. I'm not sure if I said that off the top, but it could be good. This is a dart. This is a dart you're throwing at the end of your draft. Last pick, all the names you're scrambling. All my guys got picked, all my sleepers. Who do I go to? You could take Matthew Boyd because I think there is a chance he's like a 3.5 ERA guy, good amount of strikeouts, good amount of wins on the Cubs. And then the whip, the whip might not be great. It might be like a 1.20 whip, something like that. But like I said, he's probably going for $3.99 right now. I have to work him into my rankings. Haven't had the chance to do that yet. But I think for the price you're going to have to pay, which is nothing, it's worth a shot.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's definitely a nice dart throw. There's always guys at the end of the draft I like to take a shot on. He's going to be one of them now. Team is, I wouldn't say a lot better, but it's just an opportunity now. He's no longer like a 3. He's now like a 4, and the matchups are going to be better. And personally too, I mean, hey, Newton, he might just have a resurgence of just like energy to be like, hey, I'm going to be good this year, like type deal. Like I got to prove it. But also too, it's new year, new team, so we shall see. But dart throw when he's free.
I'll say this though. I think that He's the kind of guy. I lost my train of thought. I did have something good. I was going to go with one of the things that you normally say too, but I lost my train of thought with it. Oh Lord, I'm blanking here. So let's just keep things pushing.
All right, we're gonna move on. Frankie Montas, or Montas, however you say it, goes to the Mets, and it's kind of a lateral movement. I don't really care about him for fantasy at all. Didn't have a K per 9. Didn't have an ERA that I cared about. Looked like absolute garbage, but at least he's not in Cincinnati. So whatever. But, in those deeper leagues, 16 mags, and NFBC, tournaments, he's somebody you're going to have to look at. He's somebody that, may provide a little bit of value. But ultimately, in those shower leagues, anywhere from, 8 to 12, don't even look at this dude. He's absolutely irrelevant.
I'll say this, he goes to a better park. He hasn't really pitched in, a great park in a while. The Mets have, a decent park there for pitchers, and it's a dart throw. Yeah, it's a dart throw. It's a dart throw. I think it's a worse start throw than Matthew Boyd, but you could throw it in that direction if you want to. And I don't really have too much else to say on Montas. He's probably going to be at like 100. When I rank my starting pitchers, he'll be at the end there.
This is how I feel. Yeah, that's really where I'm at.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, guys, that's pretty much it for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And shout out to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And after you make us your first listen, you should definitely go check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB and make him your second listen. He does a great job of breaking down the league in a little bit of a different way than we do. We put our fantasy spin on it. He puts his, regular MLB spin on it. And definitely check him out. But guys, until next time, see ya.
Peace.